You want a tea? Every year, as we collectively scratch our heads as to what to get each other for Christmas,
the god of vouchers wakes up from his slumber by the fire of nonplussed birthday presents.
Actually, despite what I've said in previous videos about people giving me books,
giving me book vouchers always works out.
You see, there are books that I've read but I don't own that maybe I should find or buy.
there are
Art books to be seen.
there are reference books to be bought.
Yeah, I mean, now we've got the internet.
The font of all knowledge that we're all collectively baptised in.
Which it seems we're still collectively learning how to use.
That's a separate point though.
Getting back to reference books.
You see, I'm a child of the 80s, which means that a part of me is constantly prepared for and totally afraid of nuclear holocaust.
When I say prepared,
I mean scared and woefully underprepared.
I do, however, have a section in my bookshelf that is ready for me to stick in a backpack and then sort of run for the hills. It features survivalist books and mechanical instructional books and one or two classic.
Recently, dictionaries and word reference books have begun to creep in. So, in a chain of events completely unrelated to me recently releasing a series of videos about etymology, I found myself in Waterstones gripping a voucher and declaring,
Right in the centre of the branch,
Where the acoustics were favourable. I demand the finest etymological dictionary known to man.
not really, but that's what happened in my head.
Because that's how all things happen in my head. I mean, it is.
What actually happened was that I marched into Waterstones gripping a voucher
marched right into the reference section,
and found
well,
Not a lot. Nothing that I was particularly looking for.
no giant book of etymology, no dictionary of English roots.
One book did look kind of interesting, but I wrote it off as a bit lightweight.
So calmly, I placed my voucher back into my wallet and then wandered around the science fiction section.
and the graphic novels section. Sorry, I mean comic book section.
Don't try to dress it up because you think you should be ashamed of reading a comic.
You shouldn't. Comic books are wide and interesting and diverse. And, you know, some of them are really great. Some of my favourite books are comic books.
You know, like all types of books and media and art and things in the world.
Anyway,
I gathered my resolve and went to the desk. The till. You know, the place where the staff people are.
You know,
I asked the nice man at the desk whether they had an etymology dictionary. His answer was, to cut a slightly longer answer short, no. See, this is a different shot. I'm wearing something different and the bed is made differently. That's because I forgot to do this particular bit. Now, what was I saying? The shop assistant, he said he's absolutely obsessed by a book by a guy called Mark Forsyth. Sorry, bit of an interjection. Has anyone seen The Toast of London? In it, the main character pronounces Bruce Forsyth's name as Bruce Forsyth. So every time I think of this man's name, whose book I'm reviewing, who I've just forgotten his first name as Forsyth. Forsyth.
where was I?
Ah yes, man in Waterstones.
So he goes and gets the book.
Wax is a bit more lyrical about the book, and me, convinced by his lyricism, buys the book.
That's where the rabbit hole started.
I'll read you a section and then you can sort of understand. This section's called A Game of Chicken. Gambling in medieval France was a simple business. All you needed were some friends, a pot and a chicken. In fact, you didn't need friends, you could do this with your enemies, but the pot and the chicken were essential. First, each person puts an equal amount of money in the pot. Nobody should on any account make a joke about a paltry sum. Shoo the chicken away to a reasonable distance. What's a reasonable distance? About a stone's throw. Next, pick up a stone. Now you all take turns hurling stones at the poor bird, which will squawk and flap and run about. The first person to hit the chicken wins all the money in the pot. You then agree never to mention any of this to an animal rights campaigner. That's how the French played a game of chicken. The French, though being French, called it a game of poule, or poulet. I can't really speak French, I think you've noticed that, which is French for chicken, and the chap who won all of the money had therefore won the jeu de poule. The term got transferred to other things. At card games, the pot of money in the middle of the table came to be known as the poulet, or the pool. English gamblers picked the term up and brought it back with them in the 17th century. They changed the spelling to pool, P-O-O-L. They still had a pool of money in the middle of the table. It should be noted that this pool of money has absolutely nothing to do with a body of water. Swimming pools, rock pools and liver pools are utterly different things. Back to gambling. When billiards became a popular sport, people started to gamble on it, and this variation was known as pool, hence shooting pool. Then finally, that poor French chicken broke free from the world of gambling and soared majestically out into the clear air beyond. On the basis that gamblers pooled their money, people started to pool their resources and even pool their cars into a car pool. Then they pooled their typists into a typing pool. Le chicken was free, and then he grew bigger than any of us, because since the phrase was invented in 1941, we have all become part of a gene pool, which, etymologically, means that we are all little bits of chicken.
Yep, all of that is true. It's all well sourced and well researched, and it's true.
You see, the history of words isn't necessarily the history of academia and dictionaries, though a little bit more on that later.
It is a history of us, the human race. Most people who read widely will know that, well, who read widely and pay attention, I should say, will know that Shakespeare invented quite a lot of English language.
But he's not the only one, not by a long shot.
Read this book and you'll find that our collective literary history is full of language makers. An example.
John Milton of Paradise Lost fame.
He invented
Impassive.
jubilant, loquacious, unconvincing, satanic,
Persona.
fragrance,
Sensuous.
exhilarating.
I could go on. And indeed, Mark Forsyth does go on.
But here's the thing. He does it with comedy and humanity.
Something I look for in all teachers. Because that's just it.
Mark Forsyth's book is about extending your fascination for language. But more than that, it will further your fascination in us, the storytelling ape.
So, if that's your thing...
Or even if it's just a passing... Whoa, what's going on here? Let's do that again. Or even if it's just a passing interest. Or how the Oxford English Dictionary was mainly compiled by a school dropout Scotsman and a criminally insane United Stateser. Or how Persian kings become Czechs to pay the exchequer.
Or how buffaloes became fire enthusiasts.
Or 100 other excellent stories.
Then acquire this book. I promise you won't be disappointed.